Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I would like to talk about the next Renaissance, a civilization built on art. Yeah, this is going to be a deep one, a deep, thoughtful video, so let's dive into it. So I thought I'd make this video as we're currently, as I'm recording this in 2025, experiencing a lot of uncertainty in the world from things like, wars and economic uncertainty. And I feel, as I'm recording this now in 2025, I feel there's a lot of people who are currently dissatisfied with this current system that we're living in, whether you want to call that capitalism. I mean, there are aspects of capitalism involved in this city, in this system that we live in. But whatever the case, the built environment, the reality that the structure that humans have created for other humans to live in, because we are becoming more dissatisfied, at least that's what I feel from my own perspective. From this, are we becoming more aware of these issues? So that's why we're becoming more dissatisfied. So in this video, that's why I really just like to dive in to the future of society, of civilization. And it kind of got me thinking, can we build the next Renaissance as a human species? And can this perhaps be a civilization that's based upon art, or at least has art involved with its creation? So yeah, it is a thought-provoking video, but I thought, because of the current times we live in, because of the amount of problems that are happening, I thought I'd dive into this and see where it takes us, and look at the ideas about possible future civilizations and how this can actually be manifested into something real and tangible. So let's get to it. Behold, the new manifesto for a new world. Are you in? We don't need to go to Mars, we can create it here. So anyway, so first of all, I'd like to actually address, why rethink society? And let's run through the list. I'm looking at my notes again because I like to really just take a lot of notes and research a lot of the topics I'm talking about. So just bear with me if I keep looking down on a piece of paper. So why rethink society? So number one is, at this time of recording in 2025, you got economic inequality and capitalism fatigue. So as you know, and this is happening globally, the wealth gap keeps growing. Cost of living keeps increasing, with earnings not keeping up with this. There's also lots of people working long hours but struggle to afford housing, healthcare, or basic stability. You've also got the rise of automation, robotics, and AI, which threatens a lot of job replacement, job losses. You've also got people questioning if this endless economic growth is actually sustainable in the long run, for both the earth and both for humans and the whole existence that lives out its life here. So that's economic inequality and capitalism fatigue. We've also got political disillusionment. I hope that's how I pronounced it. So people often think, governments are becoming increasingly slow to react to situations. Perhaps there's a lot of corruption as well happening within government, or perhaps being ineffective in addressing real world issues. You got many that feel democracy has been hijacked by corporate interests. There's a lot of younger generations who are disengaged because they see little meaningful change happening through traditional systems. So that's the political disillusionment side of things. And then you got environmental concerns. So, you got climate change, which is accelerating. There's a big hole in the ozone layer. It's been there for a long time. And you've also got things like, ice sheets melting in, Antarctica and whatnot. And because of more carbon in the atmosphere, there are environmental concerns as well. And so it's kind of, and on top of this, you got the current economic model that we live in is based on consumption and exploitation of natural resources. And the Earth only has a certain amount of natural resources available unless we start, mining in space or whatnot, which will probably happen in the future anyway. So that was environmental concerns. And we've also got loss of meaning and alienation. Yeah, and I feel many people feel that modern life is dominated by profit and productivity, with little room for creativity, community, or personal fulfillment. And, I think this can also lead to mental health and physical health problems. You've also got the rise of digital life. We're talking through this camera on YouTube. You got social media and technology. And, this has helped to connect people, obviously, globally. But it's also helped to also isolate people at the same time. So this construction, this system, this human construct that we created for can often lead us to feel soulless. From the concrete cities to how work is structured. And I think as humans, we crave deeper meaning in this life. So that was loss of meaning and alienation. But then I wanted to talk about, okay, these are some of the bad aspects of capitalism, of this system that we live in. But what is the good aspects of this system that we live in? Because this system does provide rewards, and it's not as bad as previous ones that have kind of gone before it. So the good side of capitalism, or this human construct that we're living in. So you can use your skills to earn an income for yourself, and this can also help shape a meaningful life. And you can also build wealth. Of course, you don't need to be rich for the sake of being rich. For me, I see money as a tool to create more experiences in this world. You can also use it to build things. And, so for me personally, this is a positive thing. And it also has, and so that also has a positive impact on people's lives. Good side of the system, it drives competition. Sometimes competition from my own perspective can seem quite demoralizing because you always feel you're kind of left behind or you're not keeping up. In some ways, I feel it also leads to better products and services because you're always trying to, like for me personally, I'm always trying to improve myself, improve the things that I'm doing, that I'm offering. And so that does help drive improvement. So on one hand, it is quite bad. It is quite demoralizing competition. But on the other hand, it does continue to drive you to keep self-improving. That was some of the, the negative aspects of this system that we live in. But it's also listing some of the positive aspects of it. So now I'd like to talk about how we can bring on a desire for new ideas and alternatives. I'd like to list some past examples of movements that sought to reshape our human construct. So I thought I'd list one as being Stijl. I hope I pronounced that right as well. But it originated in the Netherlands in 1917. And it had a group of artists architects, designers that formed a group back then. And they seek to create a universal aesthetics around abstraction, simplicity, and harmony. And this also worked its way into buildings, art, furniture, and you know what, this even influenced modern architecture today. A lot of the modern architecture, these simple, concrete like buildings that you often see in cities, like the big offices, with minimal decoration, glass walls, all that jazz, that originated from Stijl, some of those ideas. Because back then in architecture, they were thinking about reducing components right down to its simple, bare components within architecture, furniture and art. And at the time, this was quite innovative. This was quite forward thinking, because they're also intertwining primary colours and those kind of aesthetics into it. But the modern architecture that we have now kind of abandons those use of primary colours that were used in Stijl for more bare bones, kind of simplistic modern architecture. And that's the architecture that we see today. As part of Stijl, you had makers, artists such as Piet Mondrian, and then you had, I think it was Rietveld. He designed furniture, and then there were some other architects as well involved in that movement. You can still see an example of the Stijl architecture in the Netherlands. There's a house out there. I'll have to find the information somewhere. I did a video on it previously, and it's also interesting because these kind of principles that they developed also shaped your behavior as you interacted with that space, and also shaped your outlook on life as well. But I'll put the link in the description below. You can go check out that video about that house. There was also the arts and crafts movement from 1880 to 1920, based here in the UK and the USA. Its goal was to fight industrialization and create a return to handmade, beautiful, functional craftsmanship. So there was a belief in handmade craftsmanship over industrialization. This influenced things like architecture, interior design, lifestyle, philosophy. It was also promoting simplicity, sustainability, and self-sufficiency. So you had key figures like William Morris and John Ruskin. And you also had Bernard Leach. He was a potter based in the UK. He immigrated he was originally from Hong Kong. His family originally from Hong Kong, migrated to the UK, set up his pottery studio. He was also partly influenced by the art and craft movement. That was examples of some past ideas, movements that sought to reshape this construct that we live in, and also contributed to that era. So what are some of the current ideas that are aiming to reshape this human construct that we live in?